All right, let's get our Facebook folks in here before it's time to go. Ah, man, spinning wheels. 1 and 2. There we go. Welcome in. Welcome in. It is already September 20th, Tuesday morning, and that means it's time for an episode of Broncos for Breakfast. I am Nick Kendell and joined by, as always, Scott Kennedy. Scott, I hope you didn't miss me too much yesterday. Thanks for letting me have a day off, even though my plans fell through.
Yeah, Eric did a great job. It was good to. I think that was the first time I've done a show with Eric, so it was fun doing that. He was a sport and got up at 4:30 in the morning his time to do Broncos for breakfast, or
I think
5:30
5:30.
in the morning
Yeah.
because I think he's -4 for me Eastern time.
Yep.
So he was a sport. I figured it was almost like staying up for him. He said he was kind of a night owl.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, it's much better with you here, Nick, without a doubt.
No, I
We
appreciate
need
it.
you more than we need me. So
I don't know about
thank you,
that.
thank you for being back. Hope you had a good day off.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Rest the pipes a little bit.
yeah, no, it was nice. I was trying to go backpacking with the dog for the first time, but the trail was closed because somebody had started a fire on the road to the trail. So Smokey the Bear weeps. But be careful if you're making fires, guys, man. It's rough out here. Kevin Gray, morning, Nick and Scott, Broncos country. Let's ride. Good to see you, Kevin. Talking about pups. Morning, fellas. From Jeremy saying, I unfortunately have a sick pup who isn't feeling too well, so not much chatting today. Have a great show. Well, that's okay, Jeremy. Take care of that, buddy. Diamond Rattler, it's about coffee time. Yes, it is. We also got, there you go, Scott. Tell me a little bit about that.
This is from our friend Broncos fan Patrick, who works for Lion Coffee Company. Again, this isn't a paid ad. This is just a thank you for
Yeah.
hooking us up. Thanks, Patrick. I said
Yeah.
he sent me a mug and said, hopefully you get to have a victory coffee. I'm like, well, I'll be drinking Lion coffee out of my victory mug on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, no, it's thank you for the care package, Patrick, and all the coffee, man. It's been great. I'm going to be trying to backpack this week as long as fires don't ruin that plan, but I have some coffee ground up to take and drink on the trail. Achy Dragon, any truth to the rumors of Waltons are trying to sell a team before Hackett tanks the value any further? I hate to tell you this, Achy, the Broncos could go out there and do very little. They're still going to grow in value because the TV money is unbelievable and it's just about to get bigger. So that's why it's important to have a owner who cares about winning, because honestly, they could just be out there and be like, the product is the product. We're not going to be punished for not paying out there like, English Premier League where you get relegated or something. So obviously, I think you're just having a little fun, a little tongue in cheek here. But
Yeah, and
even
AD,
the
you're
Broncos
not
with
allowed
bad.
to start rumors and then ask if they're true. You're the one that's been saying this. So no, it's no, that's that if anybody says that or infers that to you, just say that's ridiculous. Again, the value of the franchises does not go down. Forget what happens on the field. Value goes up. It is one of I've been calling it the Billionaire Boys Club since y'all have known me, and long before that, it is a buy-in, secure investment. You're in. If you can buy your way into the league, you're good to go. It's about as secure an investment as you can find in this world.
Yeah, and you want to talk about a buy-in and decently secure investment? How about MyBookie? Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence? It's a show of young guns and the old guard, and nothing makes these matchups more exciting than having a little skin in the game at MyBookie. MyBookie has super contests, survivor pools, and a double deposit bonus that gives you everything you need to secure the bag. Getting started is simple. Sign up today and use promo code Wilson22 and you'll double your first deposit instantly. Again, that's promo code Wilson22 to double your deposit up to $1,000 at MyBookie. This isn't your grandfather's bookie. This is MyBookie. Put your money where your mouth is and get rewarded for it. Begin your winning season today exclusively at MyBookie using our code Wilson22. All right, let's go ahead, Scott.
I do like that line. This isn't your grandfather's bookie. And my grandfather's bookie was probably a little shady. So, no.
yeah.
It's not like the fraternity days where someone was always running a book out of the fraternity house in college, for God's sakes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want a book on this week? This is my insider bet of the week. Seems pretty safe. Iowa is traveling to Rutgers. I think playing Friday night, and the over/under is I think 39, which is 8 points less than any other game in Division I college football this year. I'd still take the under. Rutgers and Iowa can't score. So I think it's probably one of the safest bets in football. They also both have two of the top punters in college football. So it's going to be a battle of defense and special teams. So taking the under even at 39. Richard coming in here with the £2 coming in here. 2 euros. Excuse me. Looks like Looks like, yeah, Richard, Germany, can tell. Richard comes in and says, how did we, 1, beat the 49ers, and 2, make the playoffs? Well, man, this is this is a very long topic for both of these that we could get into with so many layers to this onion. Number 1, how did the Broncos beat the Niners? I think number 1, and this is going to be silly, stupid, obvious, but Broncos got to figure out how to come away with 7 in the red zone. They are what, 0 for 6 so far in the red zone this season, which
It
is
might be what I just read, because I was reading up on the power rankings today, which we can get into a little bit. And is it Jeff Legwold that does
Shout out to
the
Jeff.
Broncos stuff?
Yeah, Jeff is a great guy.
I can't remember. He's got the numbers in here. I can't remember how far they had dropped. The Broncos, I actually didn't drop as far as I thought, to be honest with you. They're still at 13. They actually moved up 2 spots. They have gone 0 for 8 on their 0 for 8 on their past 8 pass attempts inside the opponent's 5-yard line in 2 games. So they keep, that he says, what's the big adjustment you make? Run the ball, run the ball. I'd like to see him line up. Do we ever see Russ under center, right? I mean, I feel like the plays that have gone wrong or right, I feel like he's in shotgun a lot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm sure he goes under center, doesn't he? I haven't paid that close attention. I usually don't watch. I usually have my eyes on the line of scrimmage at the snap. So I actually haven't paid attention a lot of times. It seems like he's always in shotgun, but I'm sure he's under center sometimes.
He's been under center some. I think some of it is Nathaniel Hackett's offense, but I think a lot of it is what Russ feels comfortable doing. If you're already back there, you have a better vision and can see over the offensive lineman a little better versus having to do your drop and then turn around and see where your eyes are, especially play action. So
yeah, I don't know that I want to run a pistol that far.
Yeah.
Then you're running that short and you're 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. You're starting running back, but again, we got to find a way to run the ball better for sure. And again, I don't like seeing them from a dead standstill. Hand the ball. It's a read where your feet are stopped or chopping, but there's no forward momentum at all. And those guys are just firing off backwards. They're not trying to hold and read and contain. They're coming at you hard. They're trying to push the line of scrimmage backwards, which got to figure out how to run the ball and score in the red zone.
Yeah.
That's how you beat the Niners and make the playoffs.
Yep. And the other one for me, and this is, again, everyone drink. We're going to bring up the Iowa Hawkeyes here, but if I've watched a team with inept offense long enough, what's the key to winning games when you shouldn't? It's turnovers. You got to take the ball away, and you got to protect the ball at the same time. 49ers are a team that's down 2 of their top 3 running backs, I think I saw this week. George Kittle's probably going to be back for this matchup, but if you can take the ball away, get pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo, and protect the football at the same time, giving yourself short fields, that should help a heck of a lot. But the Broncos have been running the ball extremely efficiently so far this season. They might have Quinn Miners back in this game. I know that Russell Wilson really wants a MVP type of season, but you can't really have an MVP type of season if your team isn't winning football games. And if you're running the ball efficiently, it's more important than the likes of putting up Star Wars numbers in the red zone. So just stick with what's working. And also Richard coming in and saying, are we way better in the trenches this year? Definitely on the defensive side of the ball. Night and day difference.
Better. Yeah, any better in the trenches this year. Mm-hmm.
Yes. The defensive side of the ball is amazing. Honestly, this is going to be crazy. Last year, the Broncos edge rushers were probably the worst unit on the defensive side of the ball. This year, they're probably the best. Bradley Chubb's been awesome so far this season. Randy Gregory is an alien. God, I know that people really wanted Von Miller, and Von Miller's incredible, and we'll always have that. I mean, I have a Von Miller pop guy, whatever, behind me here. Love Von Miller, one of my favorites of all time. Randy Gregory has been awesome so far in a limited snap count, and Baron Browning, maybe one of the better edge threes in the game right now, just coming up and coming players. So Broncos edge rush are better. The offensive line, it's too early to say. I'm going to go with it's too early to say because they have not gone up against any real stout defensive lines yet. They are this week, though, so we're going to find out. Speaking of finding out, Mark's in here. God bless. Mark, good to see you. I've obviously been talking on Facebook a little bit, but Mark's coming off of surgery here, and glad to hear you're doing better on the road to recovery. Good morning to you, Mark.
Yep, they were asking about you last night, Mark. Not sure if you got to listen or not. It was right, but you and I had chatted just before that, so thanks for the update. And glad recovery is going well. It's great to have you back in. So big part of this community, and it's just not the same without you. Now, Richard had a bunch of questions coming in, and He says, I need to get all my questions in because he's making it live for a change. So I get it. And
Yeah.
on the trenches, this is one of the things I've tried to warn y'all before several times. When you're looking at PFF, it's not a universal grading system. You may try, but different people grade things differently. You've got tougher graders, you've got easier graders. Now, looking at the Falcons PFF scores, I've been really pleased with their grades. I'm like, okay, this matches up with how I see it. And that's basically, if I agree with it, I think they're doing a good job. Do you know, and I don't know if you've seen it, you probably have. Do you know who got by far the worst defensive grade on the Denver Broncos for week 2?
By far the worst defensive grade.
And I mean 30s, not even close.
Well, based on my eyes, I don't think it's going to be this person, but number 90.
If you don't know, you'll never guess it.
Is it going to be Patrick Surtain?
It was DJ Jones.
Huh.
My notes through the first half of this game are DJ Jones as a menace. That were my notes. He was phenomenal. I thought DJ Jones was phenomenal. I think he is such a difference maker on your defensive line. And then I look at these scores and I sort by, total defense, and he was 32. The next worst was Caden Stearns at 48. So I'm like, okay, so I don't get to listen to your scores anymore. Whoever is grading this, I can't use you anymore because that was terrible. So in the trenches, monster upgrade. What is a monster upgrade for us? I'm coming in red. What? Bama X coming in red. Good morning, Broncos country. It's been some time since I've been able to donate. Yeah, but you're always here, and we love you for it, Bama X. And I could always use another good SEC boy.
I don't know about that.
I won some money last night, so why not share it with my favorite podcast? Love the show and y'all's interactions in the chat, regardless of whether they're donating or not. Exactly. We're glad you're here. And thank you for thinking of us, because we're thinking of you all the time. Appreciate your perspective on the SEC players coming in and everything and being a part of this community. And coming in red like this, even if it's a little bit Georgia Bulldog red, I'll tint my eyes and think of it a little more crimson. So
I was going to say
X coming in crimson this morning with a big roll tide. So appreciate you, Bama X. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bama. I was going to say coming in crimson. Sunny Days in here with the emojis. Good morning to you, Sunny Days. Dave Glassman, good to see you. Kevin Gray coming in here. Morning, Broncos country. Nick and Scott, what do you guys think about scripting the first 8 or 9 plays for a quick start? I think most coaches do that regardless. It's sometimes you're setting things up for later in the game, though. So it's not really the quick start. It's like, we're going to show you this because we're trying to set up this play to start the third quarter. So we'll see how that looks. I mean, right now, and we're playing a much better front than we have all season, week 3. The Broncos, not we. I'm not suiting up, guys. Sorry. All right, guys. Good thing.
The royal we.
Yes, the royal we. Exactly. But Broncos are going up against a different monster with the 49ers front 7 than they have so far this season, because you have Eric Armstead, you got Drake Jackson, you got the likes of Nick Bosa, you got Fred Warner. I mean, this 49ers team, and it's still Tuesday. We still need to talk about this Texans game, but this is a different caliber of squad that we've gone up against yet. Now, I don't think they are the elite of the elites on the defensive line, the front 7 this season, but they are knocking on the door there. So hopefully the Broncos running game can get it going here and they can pop off. Talking about popping off. Kathy said, just popping in quick to say hi. Can't stay, but we'll watch later. Okay, Kathy, hello to you. Goodbye to you. We'll see you later. Dave in the house too. Good morning, guys. Good to see you. Facebook user also. I'm just going to guess. Ernie Mays. Good morning, guys. I'm in San Francisco. The head coach I'm on San Francisco. Head coach is to be better. I'll say I'm cutting him a break because he's a rookie head coach. Go Broncos. Chase in the house too. And real quick about cutting the rookie head coach a break. I'm not calling for him to be fired. I think that's crazy. But at the same time, we're not, you got to give the fans a little bit of credit. We're not total idiots. And we can see that so far things in Denver have been messy. From getting disconjointed, all the disc words out there. But
disgusting.
Yeah, there you go, man. All right. Goodbye, guys. That's our show, folks. It's been bad. From 25 penalties, I think the next highest team has 17 penalties, from getting the play-in late to just it's been ugly. Not having the right players out there, timeouts at the wrong time. Everybody can see that it's an issue. If we were watching a high school game, we would be saying that, man, this head coach is having a hard time with the game script right now and figuring out what guys need to be there. We'd cut him probably a little bit more slack, but this is the NFL. It's not this guy's first game. It's not like it's anti-Ted Lasso out here. We have a soccer coach, a football coach coming over here and coaching the NFL. So yes, he's got to get better. I think he deserves the criticism, and he'd tell you he deserves the criticism too. I've enjoyed that he has taken ownership for the struggles early. I do have to say, though, if it doesn't improve, people are going to get tired of that shtick pretty quick. And Scott, how many quarters did the honeymoon phase last year for Nathaniel Hackett?
Oh, I think 4.
4?
Because you got into the 4 once the honeymoon phase was over after Seattle. But this is to what your point. I wanted to play this last night when we were talking about taking ownership of it. Yeah, it's okay to be critical. Nathaniel Hackett's critical of himself.
Proud, obviously, frustrated at times, but can you just give me a sense of overall?
I don't blame him. I mean, heck, I was booing myself. I mean, I was getting very frustrated. I mean, get down to the red zone 2 times, don't get another touchdown, which is unbelievably frustrating.
I was booing myself out there. So yes, we're not in here calling for somebody's head. That's a knee-jerk reaction. Does he need to get better? Yes, without a doubt. Going back to the question about scripting the plays. Yes, I liked it. I like it. I also want to see him run a little 2-minute. Let's go hurry up there a little bit. Let's run a little tempo. You feel like you've got some decent depth at the wide receiver position, depending on who else still healthy. You feel like you got a couple good running backs in there. You can run some tempo. So let's run some hurry up. Let's run some 2-minute offense and see how it goes. And then, if you turn it over quickly, trust your defense. Defense has been playing well. So I'd like to see that also, a little urgency at the line of scrimmage. And you can do that by running tempo, running hurry up, running and gunning. So I would like to see a little bit of that too.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Gary Leeds Palmer coming to the stars. Thank you so much, GLP, saying good morning, Nick and Scott. Getting excited about going to the game on Sunday. Go Broncos and let's ride. Games on Monday, but Gary must be getting in there on Sunday. Or is it? No, it's Sunday night.
Sunday night. I'm like, wait a minute. Then I'm going to miss it. So
no, you're right.
It's a Sunday night game.
Good. Yes.
So I'm missing you on Broncos for breakfast because I fly out of Denver. I'll be there. Looking forward to meeting everybody.
Yeah.
Let's see what I fly out Monday morning. So I have a 7 a.m. flight out of Denver Monday morning. So it is Sunday night game.
Sunday night. Be great. Broncos in prime time again. Everybody's ready to dog Nathaniel Hackett and the Broncos. They want the Broncos to fail. I think for the most part, a lot of people really do to prove their priors. It's the Chargers Chiefs year. The Broncos are a laughing stock. They traded for a washed up Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett as Michael Scott. Shout out to Steven Ruiz, who's pretty much been screaming that from his Twitter account for months now. But Glenn Hare coming in saying, morning, fellas. Nick, give us your thoughts on the positive negatives from your point of view. Negatives, the Broncos wide receiver depth is horrifying right now. If you're without Jerry Jeudy, luckily he's going to be day-to-day, and we'll get into the injuries here. But right now it's Cortland Sutton and a bunch of Jags. I hate to be that, but like Kendall Hinton didn't make your 53 because he's not a wide receiver of quality to make a normal team's 53. Your tight ends, you're missing Dulcich. Alberto Cuebanom can't block and apparently can't hold on to the ball. Eric Saubert's been around.
That, though,
yeah.
He looks really good getting off the bus.
Yeah, you have Sutton and 2 good running backs. Other than that, though, it's a bunch of guys who'd be ranked about, graded as like 70s in Madden, maybe even a few upper 60s.
Not mention Jerry Jeudy.
But Judy's hurt. Yes, that's why.
He's day-to-day, so he could be available. Depends on how much, in a sense, it almost feels like how much can he tolerate, with the rib injuries. Yeah. And frankly, if they're bothering him, it's tough to reach over or get your hands up and expose that rib cage over the middle of the field when you're about to take a shot in the ribs. Yep. That's a tough injury.
Yeah. Positives. I thought both running backs look pretty good. Javonte Williams looks better than last year. He's still leaving some yards on the field with his patience and vision, but hopefully that'll get better. And just with how he runs, I mean, he's a tone setter on that. He's the tone setter of the offense right now. We kept talking about, the defense seems a little bit more nasty. Who's going to set the tone on the offense? Right now, it seems like Javonte Williams is that guy. I'd lean into that a little bit. And Cortland Sutton too, man. He's been awesome. He was so good in that game. So big takeaways. Defensive front's been incredible. We talked about that earlier. Cortland Sutton, wide receiver 1, and the running backs. But I'm concerned about the depth of the wide receivers and now the cornerbacks. Now that Patrick Surtain could be out, day to day, but we'll see what that means. Ryan Slavic coming in here, $4.99 super, saying sometimes it's good to be the underdog for a game. Hackett will figure out. I have faith. Just give it time and let our players get healthy. Absolutely. I do want to ask you, Scott. So Hackett, obviously, we're giving him the year, rightfully so.
Mhm.
I've heard a lot of people say 2 years, but I think with the Broncos paying Russell Wilson having so much power here, and the massive dynamic change in ownership here, this could be, if things go horribly wrong, and they've continued to say as they have so far with the self-inflicted wounds that the Broncos have had, it could be a one and done for Hackett.
Yeah, it's not about the record at this point for getting a second year. If he's 7-10 and looks, some stuff goes the wrong way, you lose a game, you got some injuries, so be it. But if you're 7-10 and play like you have the first 2 games, I think you've got a real argument that he's not going to make a second year. It's like, this looks like he's not ready. He's in over his head. Those type of things. The clock management is poor. The communication is poor. The discipline is poor. The execution is poor. That becomes a bigger concern. We'd like to think it's not going to stay like that. Again, it feels like some of the stuff that we are most critical of, the reason why we are being so critical of it is because it's the easy stuff. The getting the play in to your quarterback and getting a playoff at a decent amount of time without running it down to 1 every time, that should be pretty easy. That should be an easy fix. That said, they didn't necessarily fix it in game 2. So what is going to be your adjustment in game 3? You can't keep going like that. We talked about this attack mode. This was one of the things we were saying is going to be so much more fun. This is going to be an attack-minded offense, going to be an attack-minded defense. Well, Nick, I've seen it on defense. I've seen this team attack on defense. I've seen a big play. We mentioned this earlier. Last year, we might see more plays. Get behind somebody like Alex Singleton when he missed a sack, the first touchdown of the season for the Seahawks. We might see more of those, but we're going to see more sacks, and we're going to see more turnovers. And what I'm seeing right now is a little more red coming in from Gregory Vendeland coming in. Thank you so much, guys. It's humbling. I'm like tripping over myself, just speechless. I hope y'all are going to be there so I can say thank you in person for what it means to me, because I promise you I wouldn't just willy-nilly be going to Denver if it weren't for y'all. So I'm looking forward to this trip. I haven't been on a plane in almost 3 years, and I'm looking forward to this trip and coming out and hanging out with our Mile High Huddle family and folks like you, Gregory, and Bama X and Michaela. Hopefully I'll get to see Ethan in London, and Eric Johnson, EJ. So all these folks. So love it.
Yeah. Also love Richard Butt coming in, $4.99 super, saying the worst part is watching all these rookie coaches. Well, not rookie, but first time on these new teams coaches. Lovie Smith, definitely not a rookie coach. Mike McDaniel, Doug Peterson, Kevin O'Connell, Dennis Allen, Brian Dabble, and Todd Bowles. Teams playing more cohesive and disciplined. Yeah, that is definitely unfortunate, but give it time, I think, is another thing here. This is just a 2-game sample size. We can be critical of what the Broncos are doing right now, but while having the perspective that it's just, this is what we have to go off of right now. And it has to get better. It will get better, I believe, as well. But it is frustrating.
Easy stuff. If we were watching this team get bowled, and we might this weekend, that's when it becomes a little scary. If I'm watching my team get absolutely thrashed in the trenches, I'm worried. Last year, when we saw after a 3-0 start, when we saw it was Baltimore game 4, Baltimore came in and just manhandle the Denver Broncos. Those are macro problems. Right now, we've got a bunch of micro problems that are stacking up to feel like a big problem. Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
We can start fixing those little problems. Seriously, get the play in, get all the voices out of your head. I don't know how you do it. I got a ton in my head
they just
without the headphones. I know they're all the time. I try and focus on the loudest one though. Get all the different voices out of your head and take ownership of the play calling and speed things up. That shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be a hard fix. Whether it's an effective fix, we'll see. But I can't see where it would hurt, Nick, getting the play in and getting up there and having a little more urgency at the line of scrimmage. I cannot see how that would be a bad thing. Not having your offensive lineman doing this. And for those of you listening, I'm looking over my shoulder with 5 seconds on the play clock every single down. Yeah.
Easy to dismiss week 1 when Seattle fans, pretty loud and ruckus. Hard to do week 2 at home versus credit to the Broncos fans, but not loud until they felt like they had to be loud on offense, because Peyton Manning still has that group trained pretty well. They were doing it because hats off. What a comical jeer that was, screaming the shot clock down. I mean, I've never seen anything like that in my life. I was in disbelief, but really
You
creative.
said shot clock because that's what it felt
Yeah,
like.
yes.
It felt like a basketball game.
Yep.
To be fair, Broncos fans were only doing it in the fourth quarter with a lead.
They don't get the benefit of the doubt for me, the coaches on this one, because it was too many times. I don't know.
But it's
we'll see how it
that's
goes.
when you actually want to wind it down to 2 seconds. And good thing the Broncos have had 2 games of practice on how to run out the clock in the fourth quarter, because that's all they've been doing for 8 quarters.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. We keep talking about the pacing of the Broncos, having more offensive plays. Not if you're down to 0 on the play clock every time, but Ashish coming in. Good morning. I think this next game, the 49ers, will be a good test. I'm not very hopeful about winning, looking at the mistakes the past 2 games and the injuries piling up. What do you guys think? Broncos are what, a -1 point dog now at home? But I think that Broncos got a chance in this game. They've made so many self-inflicted wounds so far, and also they've had really bad luck in multiple ways. Now, granted, you can always say this about both teams, but you would have to think the red zone efficiency is going to have to go the other way at some point, just based on the law of averages. So getting 4 more points down there, touchdowns, rather than settling for 3, it's got to come. Or none. But you think it's going to be corrected. I mean, there's going to be talk about sarcastic jeers. There'll be real excitement when that happens. It's not that much of a joke yet. The other one here you think the statistical law of averages is going to bounce your way. The Broncos have had 7 fumbles so far in their game so far this year, and they've only been able to come down on 1 of them, which is stupid. Typically, it's a 50-50 proposition when the ball's on the ground. Broncos are 1 for 7 or 1 for 6. Which is insane. The only one they've gotten so far is Randy Gregory ripping out the ball from DK Metcalf. So you think if the Broncos keep forcing the ball on the ground, their defense at least, they're going to come up with some. And the Broncos also putting the ball on the ground and not picking up any of their fumbles is just, obviously don't put the ball on the ground, but bad luck. So hopefully that'll be better. Injuries piling up. I think the Broncos got a chance in this one. I hope that they lean into the run game. It's more about winning the game than putting up stats. Ryan writes, what's up, Nick? Scott in Broncos country. Thought it might take us a while to gel. It could be ugly for a bit. I don't think it's gotten too ugly yet. We've seen ugly football in here. Broncos are moving the ball. They got some explosive plays going on. The defense, making it not ugly for me. A lot of fun with the defense as well. But we'll see. This is definitely a step up in competition. Dom in here. Good morning, Nick and Scott. Penalties killed us. 13 of them are not allowed. Those are Raiders numbers. Red zone needs to be executed and efficient. There's too much talent on the offense. Denver Broncos for life. Scott, is there too much talent on offense? I guess is my thought. I mean, now that you've lost, Jerry Jeudy's dinged up. You don't have your 3rd-round pick, Greg Dulcich. Alberto Cuebanam still looks like Alberto Cuebanam. And your wide receiver room, KJ Hamler's not right. Jerry Jeudy's out. I mean, it's like I said earlier, it's Sutton and 2 running backs. Offensive line has been fine. Garrett Bowles, really good 2 games so far, in my opinion. But this offense, when you take away especially the wide receiver playmakers, looks a lot closer to average outside of the quarterback position.
But you're not playing average.
No.
Okay. So I'm gonna hedge this comment. The red zone needs to be executed and efficient. There's too much talent on this offense to be playing like this.
Yeah.
To be playing like this. And like we said, we've got a quarterback out there that knows how to score points. So to be getting, 16 points back-to-back weeks, that there's too much talent, and that's too few for any offense in the NFL, honestly. So yes, you've got enough talent to be able to put numbers in the mid-20s without a doubt. And again, some untimely turnovers, some untimely penalties. And frankly, when you're watching the condensed version of this game, it looked like drop pass, drop pass, drop pass, drop pass. So let's come back to Rob. I want you to hold that spot because I want to get on Andrew Lampy on this one real quick. Coming in with some stars on this point about the drop passes. Says, morning, fellas, people need to look at Manning's stats his first few games and then relax. Russell Wilson's stats are okay. They haven't been great. And they would have been, the overall stat line wasn't that good last game. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think there were 5 drops from 4 different players. You throw another 5 completions on there, and he's 24 of 30, somewhere in that neighborhood, and add another 50 yards minimum on there, and it starts looking pretty good. Maybe one of those breaks for a touchdown. Going back to Manning's stats, since you brought it up, it was interesting. It wasn't his second year was so crazy. It makes okay look really nuts. But 19 of 26, he had a rating of 129 in his first game as a Bronco. He had 3 interceptions his second game as a Bronco. 50% passing with 330 yards and 2 touchdowns his third game, and then 30 for 38, 338 yards, 3 touchdowns as his fourth game as a Bronco. And then he went on that started a streak of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight games with 3 touchdowns, which is mighty impressive. So for me, Peyton Manning's numbers were okay. Russell Wilson, once the ball is snapped, hasn't been the problem for me. Okay. As far as the execution goes, everything leading up to that snap has been a problem for me. But as far as, you're not just scoring 16 points because Russell Wilson has forgotten how to throw the football. He's playing at a higher level that we've seen in a while. Needs a little help pre-snap, or he needs to get out of his own damn way pre-snap. And helping that would be to say, all right, Russ, once we get more comfortable, you've got more input. Until now, we're doing it this way. That's your job as a head coach.
Yep. Yeah, and this is something we talked about in the offseason. The power dynamics here is going to be interesting. I mean, they gave Russ a lot, which is honestly his right as a quarterback. But when things are rough, who's the guy? Who gets to say this is what we're doing? And, it's almost too many cooks. You have to wonder. Rob, again, thoughts on signing Will Fuller? Could be had for cheap, even if Jeudy comes back soon. Could add a veteran depth. Just a little bit of news here on this one. Cole Beasley's off the market. He signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the news of Mike Evans being suspended for a game. So Cole Beasley off the market. I don't think the Broncos were looking for a pure slot type anyway. I'd be okay with Will Fuller. The thing is, with how the Broncos have been running their offense so far, I think they really, and we talked about this a lot in the offseason, they really are looking for somebody that can bring some blocking prowess at the outside because they're trying to get out there in space, and a lot of those quick hitters behind the line of scrimmage or the runs even, wide receivers blocking is a huge part of that. Don't know if Will Fuller's that guy. Cole Beasley's not that guy. Another tight T.Y. Hilton, not that guy. I'm not sure if there are any big-bodied wide receivers, and we always talk about, the wide receiver is one of the deepest positions in the NFL. Well, when you need 4 or 5 guys that are quality out there, it doesn't look so deep all of a sudden. You can't just be looking at the 2 deeps. You need depth at the wide receiver almost more than any other position besides cornerback, maybe.
I would say, Nick, we've said that about defensive back and wide receivers. You need 7 or 8 of each.
Yep. And right now
I would have liked to have seen Seth Williams been able to stick around a little longer.
Yeah.
I feel like he could help this team, that big body possession. If he's catching the ball, receiver right now, and blocking. I've seen, I think it was game 1. It may have been Hamler comes around on that jet sweep, and he's supposed to pick up the edge, kind of seal the edge off of a safety or a corner coming in, and just whiffed. Swing and a miss, comes in, negative play. I'm like, there's your wide receiver blocking that Nick likes to harp on so much.
Makes a difference between, a 5-yard run or a 50-yard run. If you block that last guy. Greg Smith coming out here with the steak, eggs, bacon, pancakes, and coffee. All right, you're cooking for me later, Greg. I'm getting hungry. Shout out to the coffee. Kenneth Booker, good morning. What are you guys' thoughts of Gregory play so far? He's just ramping up. I'm a little bit worried about his durability over the long season. But when he's on the field, he is, man, this might be a hot take there, but he might be the most physically gifted player on the Broncos, given his body type, his athleticism, his bend, his twitch. I mean, if you're talking about like just purely aesthetics, overall body type and athleticism, he's the dude. And I don't know if you guys remember him coming out of Nebraska, but a lot of people were screaming, this is what a top 5 pick looks like. Mm-hmm. But the dude could not stop smoking marijuana, which, doesn't matter now because the NFL rules and whatnot. I didn't care then, but the NFL, it's the rules. So it is what it is.
Rules are rules. Whether you agree with them or not, those are the rules. Yep. You know them going in.
Yep. 100%. So he drops to the second round and doesn't have much wear and tear. He still had a lot of injury issues. Because of that, he's missed so much time because he's been suspended that he's a young, 28 years old, as far as his body type or, the wear and tear goes. But I'm super impressed with Gregory so far. Him, Chubb, and Browning might be the second strongest position group on the Broncos behind Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. But the edge rushers right now are impressing the hell out of me.
Yeah, and the thing is he comes up with the big play. You know, which is what you need out of a pass rusher. He can be quiet for a long time. Like, is Randy Gregory? You'll find yourself saying, is Randy Gregory even in this game? And then he makes 2 game-changing plays, back to back on drives to just completely change the game. He's got that in his locker. And as far as physically gifted, when you're talking the athleticism, yeah, I mean, he's a power forward in basketball out there. Just and it looks like he's beginning to put it all together. You're talking about durability, 42 snaps for him this week, Nick. That was about 5, another durability questions for Chubb. That was 5 less than Chubb. And then Baron Browning got close to 30 snaps. So a solid rotation there. And that was off 62 defensive snaps. So a good rotation at the edge play.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Ronquillo, good morning, Nick and Scott and Broncos for breakfast. Broncos country, let's ride. Good to see you. We also got Lawrence Rivera coming with the stars saying, what's up, guys? Beautiful morning. We need to get our fullback more plays in this next game. It goes perfectly with how Russ plays. As long as there's no weird fullback tight end option stuff on third down when you're averaging 6.7 yards per carry to Javonte Williams at that point or something like that. I don't know if I'm pro more fullback. I think I'm more pro fullback in regards to the Broncos' issues at wide receiver right now. But I'm very much a believer that box count dictates efficiency in the ground game. So if you are wanting to run the football efficiently, you want to have defensive backs out there, not linebackers / defensive linemen. So 11 personnel and then giving Javonte Williams space rather than having him have to read a congested area of the field by packing the box. Seems simple, but that's what I'm leaning towards right now. But that, again, comes back to your wide receivers being able to block, which who knows?
It's cyclical. We've talked about this a bunch, Nick. Where you start going to these dime-based defenses, you're going to see bigger offenses. It goes back in cycles. The defense adjusts, the offense adjusts. You know who ran almost exclusively 11 personnel with a fullback? The LA Rams this weekend. They ran fullback constantly. I feel like Lawrence must be close to my age or within 10 years because 80s, Tom Rathman, San Francisco 49ers, fullback, big tight end, 2 big wide receivers, 11 personnel, dynasty. 90s, Dallas Cowboys, dynasty. Same exact formula. Moose Johnson, 2 big receivers, Alvin Harper and Michael Irvin, dynasty. And then all of a sudden the fullback disappears. Well, it's making a comeback, y'all. It's making a comeback. The tight end did. Gronk and Aaron Hernandez helped bring the tight end back with the Patriots. And again, as the rules have changed, freeing up, you're starting to see those guys that would have ended up on the defensive line as defensive ends. You're starting to see some of those guys matriculate into the NFL as tight ends, and we're getting more athleticism at that position now.
Are we going to free up the likes of Kyle Pitts is my question, Scott. My fantasy team is aching right now. Pitts,
who did I tell you to take?
Drake
Who
London.
did I tell you all to take off the Falcons?
My wide receivers have been okay, though. I don't have an issue with that.
I said Drake London. I said Drake London is going to be
Volume.
the guy just for lack of opportunities for someone else. And so far, he's about 160 yards and a touchdown through 2 games.
Yep. He's been good. But my wide receivers are Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, and Cortland Sutton. So I'm doing okay there.
Whoever's playing for the Dolphins right now. Jeez.
God, yeah, no. I had Jalen Waddle this week, and my opponent had Tyreek Hill. Luckily, I also had Lamar Jackson, but Dalvin Cook and Dalvin Cook and Kyle Pitts are killing me. Jetty Splash says, fans booing the team in front of new owners attending their first game. This is the Denver I remember before leaving years ago, becoming a big Coach Hackett fan and buying the hat like his now. I don't know if I'd have been booing. I probably would have been booing the likes of the timeout when they didn't send the freaking returner out there because what the hell are you doing? I probably would have been booing when the Broncos had to delay a game after making a field goal and having to punt. Sorry, that's displeasure at the coaching staff. Be better. Especially if you're paying that money, I hate it when fans boo like injuries and stuff. I've seen that before. Like when a guy's down, he's faking it. No, that's bad taste. But I think that those 2 moments specifically stick out in my head as like, I'd probably be booing because this is booable offense. I'm not giving you, this is the NFL.
What did Nathaniel Hackett say? I was booing myself. This is inexcusable. I don't blame them. I get it. I understand. And the thing is, Nathaniel Hackett could flop. This could be who he is, but he's an awfully tough person to dislike. He comes out, he owns up to it, basically apologizes. I understand. We've got to get better. I'm going to get better. And again, it feels like it's the simple things. That's what's so scary right now on this side of things. It's like the simple stuff is what we're screwing up out there. Man, fix that. And it's going to be plug in the refrigerator. Hey, that works. Where it's going to be the small things are going to make big differences for this team. A lot of micro problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Crimson Wolf. Morning, guys. Morning to you, Crimson. Do you guys see Washington have a larger role in the offense now? Great show as always. Yeah, I think they're going to get him more. It's more so depends on how long KJ Hamler is out. KJ being injured is concerning. We don't know what that means. God, is this going to be a Greg Dulcich situation where we just need to write him off this season? I don't know. But very unfortunate. Washington looks like a playmaker with the ball in space. He's always going to be limited due to his size, but does seem like there needs to be a role for him because you need playmakers.
Yeah, and you run out there now. You're going out with 3 wide receivers, and it's Tyree Cleveland or Kendall Hinton and Montreal Washington and Cortland Sutton. Yeah, that doesn't sound great right now. But you've got a good running game you can lean on. The thing that's starting to bother me a little bit, Nick, is this assumption that Billy Turner is going to come in and solve right tackle. Now, going back to PFF, you know who your number 1 offensive player was? So right tackle. They graded him number 1. It was Fleming was number 1. I'm like, well, right tackle's fixed then. But there's this assumption. It's like, oh, well, he's going to come in. He's going to plug in right away. When's the last time the dude played an NFL game? It's been a year at least. So it's been a while. He hasn't been seeing live bullets out there. And your first action is going to be against San Francisco. It's going to be tough. We want to talk about growing pains. There's going to be some adjustment period needed for Billy Turner as well, even if we ever see the Loch Ness monster out there at right tackle.
Yeah, it's going to be will be interesting. I think Nick Bosa versus Cam Fleming would be a concerning matchup, but we'll see. August Branty coming in saying, I live abroad and don't know what happened to Quinn Miners. Is he coming back? He has a hamstring injury. He might be back this week. They didn't put him on the short-term IR. I think it's probably a safer bet that he will be back by week 4 than week 3, but we'll see. They do want to get him out there, and I think one of the reasons the Broncos went from run to pass this week in the red zone was because Graham Glasgow not really getting much push up front. Quinn Miners was getting a lot of push, and a guy who historically does not get much push in the run game is Lloyd Cushenberry. So now you have Graham Glasgow and Lloyd Cushenberry in the middle. You're not be able to get that push up front, the generating
still running right tackle.
He's your best run blocker.
Running play goes right tackle.
He's your best blocker though. Cam Fleming has been a good run blocker. They haven't played good guys yet.
You're running against 3 guys.
Yeah.
If I'm aiming right at his hindquarters,
yep.
I've got a lot of bodies in there that have to be dealt with. It's, again, get Miners in there. Dalton Reisner doesn't strike me as a super powerful guy. At the point, the matchup I liked, and they've seen it a whole lot more than I have, but actually Glasgow and Wattenberg, when Glasgow was playing center and Wattenberg at guard, was a pretty good combination in the preseason.
Yeah. Good depth. I don't know if it's a little different in the on the starters on Sunday. Benjamin saying the diva Russ is, if he doesn't get cleaned up, they're bound to be a rift between the quarterback and coach. At that point, Russ is demanding change. There's a couple $100 million in his favor. Yeah, if it comes down to Russ versus Hackett, which I don't think it will come down to that, I think Hackett's going to be a little bit more lenient towards Russ, but I don't think that'll be an issue. But yeah, Russ is sticking around before Russ would stick around and Hackett wouldn't in that case. Clyde coming in. If Russell is finished and looks bad this year and next year, what do we do? We paid him. I think the contract is essentially a 4-year deal, so you're probably gonna have to write it out the next 4 years regardless. Going to be unfortunate, but you got to go out there and get the best quarterback you can. If teams knew Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen would be this, they would have traded up to number 1. If people knew Tom Brady was going to be still Tom Brady, they would have stuck around and kept him. You don't have very many great quarterbacks coming available in free agency or trade regardless, so he's the best quarterback you can get. You got to figure out how to build around him, and maybe you miscalculated. We'll find out. It's way too early to even be worried about that.
And Nick, this is why I said at the beginning, why don't we kick the tires a little bit? What's the rush? And said, well, Russ gave them a deadline, to get this done or no deal. No, he didn't. And we've heard, I think Lamar Jackson saying the same thing right now. once we hit this date, I'm not talking about it until next spring. That doesn't mean there won't be a deal, but we're not going to be negotiating a contract in the middle of the season. Find out how Russ plays in Denver. Find out how you should find out how you like playing in Denver before you sign a 4-year deal and you commit $250 million. So we were talking about a lot about get this done sooner rather than later. It's going to cost you more in the long run. Nothing's going to cost you more than if it's not a good fit. That will be more costly than an extra 10%, an extra $25 million on the contract, on $250 million contract, not being a good fit, and that's worst case, Kyle. That's worst case is what if he just doesn't have it anymore? That's worst case. I don't think he's there yet. I don't. Again, you look at his numbers, you watch the play, once I've seen the snap, because most of the problems I've seen with this team right now are pre-snap, which is insane. Once I've seen the play, Russell's playing fine. He's not the liability out there right now, not post-snap.
And you're missing your wide receiver 2, 3, 4, and tight end 1 in theory entering this season. So doesn't help. Char Baldwin, Kayleon Green, Jay Roper wanted to say hello to you guys. Always like to say hello. You don't just have to have a super chat to get acknowledged in here, as we always like to show. We got Kyla coming in here saying, I'm hoping that Hackett gets better quick. Yeah,
so is
us
he.
too.
Yeah, so is he.
So is he.
So is he. I mean, he understands. He sees it. He gets it. He's not standoffish with this. I understand. Like I said, whether he, turns into, the next Mike Shanahan for the Denver Broncos or fizzles out, he is an easy person to root for. That's for sure.
Yep. And Michael Ronquillo saying Zach Kelberman, host of the Mile High Huddle, of course, Huddle Up Broncos, saying if he sees Alex Singleton in coverage again, he's going to lose it. Got bad news for you, Zach, and everybody who's thinking that. You're going to play some zone coverage, and the other team is going to sometimes have some crossing routes where the player gets into Alex Singleton's zone, and that is the reality of the NFL. Something that, unfortunately, due to Russ's, so far, lack of targeting between the hash marks, have not seen the Broncos be able to target linebackers as much on those crossers. Most of the time it's been outside the numbers or on the numbers. But you're still going to see some issues where the linebackers matched up against a wide receiver in zone. At that point, good call at that moment. It's a game of chess. It's like rock, paper, scissors. They called scissors and you had paper. Oh, well, they got us on that one. Let's hope that doesn't completely destroy us here where you rally to the football and make a tackle. But it's going to happen sometimes, especially in the NFL. There's probably like 3 linebackers in the entire league that you trust in coverage right now. At least the Broncos didn't spend first-round picks on trash level linebacker play like we're seeing right now with the Cardinals out there. 2 first-round picks and they couldn't freaking cover the sun from their eyes. And Zayvon Collins and Isaiah Simmons. It's horrible.
Even casting a shadow.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. First-round pick at linebacker has been Micah Parsons, pass rusher. That's different, but the coverage linebacker, don't see it out there. Char Baldwin coming in saying, just out of curiosity, how did Wilson do in the red zone with the Seahawks? Is it a repetitive problem to him getting the ball in the end zone? Honestly, I do not know.
If you had a place where you could go look. I hate to put you on the spot when I showed this, but I was like, maybe Nick has a place where he knows where he can find some of these advanced metrics. And I'm not sure if his reference page would have red zone efficiency as part of his game splits or not. Something to look up. We'll come back to that one. So we're back on Thursday. At the very least, we can find it by the time we come back on. So while you're looking at that, I want to get Richard again. Like Richard said, he's live. So I want to get all these questions in while I can. Appreciate you coming in, Richard. So who will be better, Bradley Chubb or Draymond Jones? Right now, I think they're both good. I don't necessarily want to root for one over the other. I think I don't know. That is a good question, though. They've both been good. I think they've both been playing about equal, which is a solid level, Nick. Is Draymond has one more year though, correct? Or is he a free agent after this season too?
Yep. Also a free agent.
So those are 2 pretty key free agents right there that are playing. Well, they're playing like they're gonna be getting a new contract, which is okay. You want young, hungry guys who are trying to take the other jobs, and you don't mind your veterans playing for their next contract. So that can be a very good combination.
Yeah, so far I have not found Russell Wilson's red zone touchdown reliance. But we'll see how it plays out. Yeah, my site crashed there on that one, so don't want to mess up my feed or anything. Richard coming in, who'll be better this year, Chubb or Draymond Jones? They're both really good. Chubb plays the more valuable position with more space, and I like to use the example here of Trevon Walker. You guys know him, first overall pick this year. The Georgia Bulldogs were playing him at 4-eye and 5 technique and 3 a lot rather than the 7 technique or even the wide 9. And you saw Jermaine Johnson, who was at Georgia, first round pick for the Jets this year, kick out and play that wide 9 and went from like 2 sacks to 12 sacks. Edge rushers themselves have more space. And because of that space they're given, more likely a path to the quarterback, more likely to be impactful. It's harder for the interior defensive lineman to make more plays. That's why what Aaron Donald and like J.J. Watt did was unbelievable. Different tiers than a lot of what the edge rushers can do. So Chubb is more impactful. Who's better? They're both very good.
All right, I have found it. Russell Wilson's career red zone QB rating is 95.1. He's got, sounds like a radio station. He's got 194 touchdowns against only 12 interceptions. So he's been good. He's been really good down there, including it looks like 20 rushing touchdowns. So he's been solid down there. Inside the 10, he's actually not quite as good, but not bad either. His touchdown is 124-7 on touchdown interception ratio. Not bad. He's been sacked 16 times, so he'll take a few sacks back there. But again, you're still in field goal range, hopefully, rather than throwing it away. I'd much rather have a sack in that situation with a quarterback rating of 88.9. So historically, he's been pretty darned good in the red zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good question, really good question. Thank you.
I've been trying to get to everybody's comments here, but I kind of lost track of where I was. So if you have anything in here, want to get to it.
I don't know where I am anymore.
Money more saying,
give me a countdown. 10, 9, 8. Oh, here we are. I'm on the center.
What would it take to get to do a choreographed musical number on this show? Oh my God. You do not want to see me dance.
You're a musician. I'm more of a singer. So
Okay.
At least I like to think I can sing, but I don't want to sing in front of anyone and prove that I can't sing. So in my mind, I can sing.
Yeah, I bust out the violin. I don't know, but I appreciate the super chat there. Let's get into the main topic here. We have 8 minutes left. Some injury news: Jerry Jeudy, rib injury day to day. Patrick Surtain, shoulder injury day to day. Both came back about as good as possible. I had heard that there were some major concerns for Patrick Surtain's shoulder with the maybe AC joint. There's a lot of speculation. I think it was Mike Kliss tweeted out yesterday as well, being like, Broncos get good news. There's a lot of fear in Dove Valley prior to that, that the injury was more significant. I heard that Surtain was in a lot of pain, but looks like it's good. All the scans come back, and it's same with Jerry Jeudy. So that's the negative injury front. I'm going to be honest. I don't think we're going to see either of them on Sunday night, but we'll see. But the good news, Josey Jewell should be back. So it's going to be Josey Jewell not keeping up with crossing routes and Deebo Samuel in space rather than Alex Singleton. Not many linebackers can in space. I digress. And also Billy Turner back. Both those guys you're going to want back in this game because, George Kittle, because of Nick Bosa, et cetera, et cetera. I think both those guys will be back and you'll be better. Big question for me is Quinn Miners. Quinn Miners could be the key of the game for me.
A good question from Richard here saying, when we're comparing these injuries, is who do you need back sooner, Jerry Jeudy or Patrick Surtain? Now, for this team, this goes back. We don't share a mind on this one. We've talked about the importance of the different players. You may think, I'm not even going to guess for you. I think it's more important to get Jerry Jeudy back right now. I think you need at least one more dynamic weapon as a wide receiver to go along with Courtland Sutton. Are the other guys behind him? How big is that drop off? I feel like I can mask coverages. The fact that Justin Simmons is gone hurts, but the best pass defense in the world is a quarterback on his butt. So Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory and Baron Browning and Draymond Jones and DJ Jones, they can help mask some deficiencies in the back. Harder to do that on offense. So I would say right now you need Jerry Jeudy back more than you need Patrick Surtain. But obviously, to be the team that you want to be over the long haul on a long enough timeline, you need them both.
Yeah. I think right now Surtain is probably your best player on your whole team. So I would pick him just based on that reality. He changes what you can do coverage wise. And he also makes it, if you have Surtain out there, you can flood a little bit more guys to the middle of the field, dictate a little bit more resources to trying to stop George Kittle. And also I think your drop off in tackling in space, which is if you're playing Kyle Shanahan's 49ers, you know what you're going to have to do? Your defensive backs are going to have to frickin' tackle because he schemes these guys open. So that's a little bit of concern for me. But with how the offense is just so disconjointed right now and how the offense really looked like it fell off a cliff moving the football in the pass game after Jerry Jeudy went down, I think maybe for this specific game, you'd rather have Jerry Jeudy back soon. But I mean, you really need them both. The bottom line is you probably do need them both. Speaking about needing here, Jacob Foster, the silent one, coming in with the stars. Good to see you, Jacob. Hope you're doing well. I hope your keyboard's plugged in, Jacob. One of these days we'll hear from you. But we appreciate
even if and Gregory, if you're still listening, I wanted to say the same thing. Gregory Vandalen comes in all the time with giant supers without much to say. Listen, folks reach out to me all the time privately. If there's something you want to say or anything like that, hit me up on DM. I'm always answering emails. Skinnedy, not S Kennedy, but Skinnedy @gmail.com. I'm easy to find, so reach out.
Yeah. Jay Roper, good to see you, Jay. Curly hair gang represent, saying, let me rephrase, are they trying to protect these guys even when they could play through injury so they can play big games later in the season? I think that's part of it. I think that being conservative with these injuries at this point in the season is smart. It's a marathon, not a race. You lose week 1, the season's not over. You come back and win week 2. Probably need to win this game week 3, but you have a little bit more wiggle room now that you lost this matchup. Also, if there are any games you're going to lose this season, it's probably best to lose the NFC matchups. So losing away at the Seahawks, maybe losing at home versus 49ers. We'll see. But you definitely want to have these guys healthy.
Yeah, you're weighing the risk reward on this. If he plays, what could I get? How effective is he going to be? And if it aggravates the injury, could I lose him another 6 weeks? If I hold him out 1, is it done and we don't have to worry about it, or do I risk him now? So it's a risk reward. Typically you kind of say, it's not going to make it worse by playing. It's how much pain you can take. That's your ribs. When you're dealing with muscle injuries and sprains, that type of stuff, you can make that worse in a hurry. So when we're talking about the shoulder, that can get worse. The ribs, any shot to the ribs is going to hurt. So that one shouldn't get worse based on playing like a pulled muscle, like aggravating a hamstring or something along those lines.
Yeah. And we got $5 coming in from Elliot D saying, glad the injuries for Jerry Jeudy and Patrick Surtain aren't worse. How do we not have a kick returner out there on the field, though? Sounded like maybe Montreal Washington was celebrating on the sidelines or something. I don't know, but rookie mistake. I don't think we're going to see that issue again this season. But, man, if you do, it's you got some questions here. So this coaching staff, man, this is the double-edged sword of being, trading for Russell Wilson and having a talented team. Before the Broncos were like, oh, they're the Broncos. They have Drew Lock at quarterback. Who cares? They suck. It's the Chiefs and whatever. They're not going to do anything anyway. So now you have all these eyes on you, people that had a whole offseason 24/7 news cycle of, are the Broncos good? Are the Broncos bad? Russell Wilson washed. Nathaniel Hackett, is he good or is he a goober? Now you have all these eyes on you and these people with these preconceived notions looking to dunk on you for being right about what they said in the offseason. So if you make mistakes like this, people are going to call you out on it, and it's going to be probably even a little bit more harsh and constant news cycle. Luckily for the Broncos, even though they won this game, A, and B, they didn't choke a 20-point lead like a former Denver Broncos head coach's team, the Las Vegas Raiders. Couldn't happen to a better coach and a better team. God bless you, Raiders.
That was the biggest point comeback loss, or however you want to say it, that they'd ever had. I'm like, hell, the Falcons called that Sunday. 20 points. Jeez, that's it? You guys have been living right if this is the first time that's ever happened to you.
A lot of good comebacks
Grover coming in says, with our issues in weeks 1 and 2 combined with our injuries, thoughts on how we match up this week? Grover, good question. We'll try and keep this one short. Appreciate you coming in, Green, because we'll hit on this a little bit more on Thursday. But frankly, Nick, I think Jimmy Garoppolo gets a bad rap. I think he is underappreciated as a quarterback who is capable of getting the most important stat of all, which is wins. I think I looked it up yesterday, and his overall career record as a starter is like 33-12, 33-13, somewhere in there. It's a significant number above 500. Yet Kyle Shanahan's number, I was like, oh, he's playing for the 49ers, and Kyle Shanahan, of course, no. Kyle Shanahan's record as a head coach is 40-43. He is a sub 500 quarterback. So if you do the math on this, depending on how many starts he had in New England, most all of his wins have come with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, and most of his losses have come when he's not playing quarterback. So in the short term, think whatever you want to about, where Trey Lance will be. I think in the short term, this is a more dangerous team with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback this week.
Yeah.
2 years from now, later on, even at the end of the season, would Trey Lance have been better? But Jimmy Garoppolo wins games, and he's won a lot of games. And they walked in, and they handled the Seattle Seahawks pretty easily this week.
Yeah, I feel like with Jimmy Garoppolo, the 49ers are less likely to make the big mistake early on and move the ball efficiently, take what the defense gives them. But Jimmy G is also prone to a few head-scratching throws every game. You just have to be able to take advantage when those come. So we'll see what happens. Again, the 49ers, is George Kittle going to be back? They have a bunch of yak weapons. Brandon Ayuk looks like he's going to be a good player this year. They also have what's his face? Deebo Samuel. So tackling is going to be big in this one. The Broncos cannot afford to be the tackling issues that we've seen early on this season from them. This is a game where you're actually going to be a little bit much more worried about not having Justin Simmons out there. But we'll see what happens. There's going to be opportunities there for the Broncos to take the ball away. You need to come away with those balls.
Yeah, he's 31-14 as a starter, and they say, wins aren't necessarily a quarterback stat, but it doesn't hurt. No. With a 98.4 quarterback rating career in San Francisco, you could do worse. Yeah. You could do worse. Like I said, I think this team becomes more dangerous in the short term for this week than if you were facing Trey Lance.
Yep, absolutely. So, guys, we're at over an hour. We got to get on out of here. I'm going to be back again tonight with Building the Broncos with Carl, but make sure you guys are following Scott and I on Twitter. Scott is at Scout Kennedy. I'm at Nick Kendell MHH. Also, make sure you're following us at BFB_pod as well as at Mile High Huddle. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you're following our Facebook community at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. And as the ticker says underneath, if you are joining us on YouTube today, please subscribe, like, and share. Click that bell icon so that way you get the notification when we go live, and that way you can just join in. However, these chat rooms are made before the show anyway, so if you want to get in here even a little early before that bell notification comes on and start the conversation, by all means. Scott, what's the rest of the day looking like for you? You got any practices or things to get to? Watching some football?
Always double practice for the boy and at least one for the girl. So the usual. And then what's tonight? I guess I'll see you tonight. So we've got Building the Broncos coming on tonight at 6:00 Mountain Time, which is just one more day closer to the meet and greet. We will need to get the information out on where to be because I don't know. I just know when I land and, I'll figure it out from there, head to the stadium on where to be, because last year the meet and greet was awesome. But it was the first time. They were first time meet and greeters. So there were some hangups that they've learned and are able to iron out some of the problems they had last year. So this one should be even better. And last year was pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we appreciate you joining us today. Yeah, I'll hold down the fort over here. I should be backpacking. I might have to switch my plans. I have family coming out, but unfortunately, due to wildfires, the area looks like it's covered in smoke. So we'll figure out what happened here and figure something out. We're going to catch some trout, though. It's going to be a good time. But we appreciate you guys. We'll see you tonight. Scott, anything before we get out? Looks like you wanted to say something.
No, I'm my door just eked open. So I hit mute and said, I got about 30 seconds. One second, and we'll be out of here.
Well, hello to your door creaking dog, cat, wife. We'll see. But we'll see you guys tonight again. Make sure you guys are choosing kindness and choosing compassion. And until then, go Broncos.